Right, this is the third part for forecasting for investment decisions using the Chiman Tunja. So as we proceed, a bit of a recap once again as we come to fine-tune and to improve our understanding of using Chiman for forecasting for investment decision. Now, once again, as we start with the first slide, I'd like to remind you that the first step towards this is to be serious in your question. To be serious in your question. By being serious in the question is to respect that this is not a trivial exercise or activity, and one has to be in contemplative mood. The reason for being in contemplative mood and to make sure that your so-called heartbeat level is low is so that you ask the question in a calm manner, especially in our journey today, where the questions we ask is about investment decisions. And occasionally, we do find that one of the biggest enemies in investment is actually yourself. We do understand that people can be emotional and investors can be victims of their own behavioral bias. And so step number one is to ensure that when we make investment decisions, we make it with our eyes open, calmly, and focused. So first step, be serious in your question, be in contemplative mood. And secondly, especially today's topic on the stars, Chiman does require what they call evidentiary phenomena. And in this evidentiary phenomena, this is where the asker look for signs from the universe, look for phenomena that confirms the prophecy. And it may not be today's topic, but in the coming topics, they will be sharing on how this is to look for confirmation from the universe on the prophecy or the forecasting that you have made. So therefore, there need to be some validation, some confirmation there. So be aware of your surroundings, be alert, and to watch certain phenomena that comes in. A butterfly that enters your room, a man wearing a funny-looking T-shirt, noises from the East factor, can be certain recordings that you want to make when you consult Chiman. And then keep a diary, as I often say, keep a diary, record all these observations as well, and you can check the phenomena. This is sometimes when the universe is trying to answer your question. The third thing, of course, I did share about the first and second part is that there are a few versions of how Chiman plot can be drawn, and you can use the Chiron method, you can use the Taibu method, but whatever it is, trust the first chart that you plot. Okay, because sometimes you do find that people can be in denial, people can try to game the system, and that is not how Chiman is to be practiced. So trust in the first chart that you plot, and once you plot the chart, keep it in a diary. That shall be the one that the answer has been given to you. So in the long run, the principles are the same. The interpretation will apply the same approach, whether your chart is plotted using Chiron method or Taibu method or by another software. Last but not least, be aware of biases, especially when you ask your own questions. We are humans. We suffer from denial. We suffer from sometimes wasted hopefulness that things get better when things actually are not. Especially when questions are asked pertaining to life, to health, decisions, to money-making decisions as well. Right, so as we move along, let us now come to the next part where this is our template that we have drawn from in our sharing on last. So it will continue to be the same sharing. Now, Chiman is not something that you should learn as your first metaphysics course. So if you're new to Chinese metaphysics, I would encourage you to pick up something else like Pachi or Feng Shui, a flying star, for example, because Chiman is somewhat like a combination of everything. It has the 5 elements, the Pachi, the heaven stems and the roots. It also have the flying star, or not really the flying star, but it has something similar to that in terms of the Earth plate as well. And so now, as we go through layer by layer, as we go through layer by layer, again, let me recap into what we have done so far. In the first part, it is all about the question. And so about the question, it is important to identify who is the asker. Who is the asker? In our sharing here, the asker could be you yourself, that you are the one asking the question. But of course, in our sharing, you could be the friend or you could be the consultant, where another person is the asker. So the first thing is to identify who the asker is. So the asker is the day master. So the asker is the day master, and the question that shall be asked. Now the question should be framed not in a close-ended type. The question should normally be framed in this concept of what will be my experience. What will be my experience if I were to invest? And invest in what? Invest in what? So to be more specific, this is not a generic question, but to invest in what? So therefore, to invest in what? And to invest in what? One thing that we need to remind ourselves is that you don't make money when you buy. You don't gain when you invest. You make money when you sell. You make money when you exit. Therefore, the question itself should incorporate some form of exit strategy. Because cannot just ask a question whether it will go up or down, because as you know, share market prices, they go up and down. The whole entire universe moves in a cycle. As it oscillates in a cycle, it goes up and down. Your question doesn't have an end. Your question may not have its final conclusion to it. So what about to invest for how long? For how long? For how long? And so if you notice something and you would like to ask a question, then for how long? For what is the duration? And therefore here we need to see that we have an asker. And so once you have identified the asker, which is then the object of our understanding, then the next question, of course, is what is the outcome? The outcome is essentially the issue. And so here, since our sharing begins with the investment path, so it's obvious that the question is pertaining to investment. So therefore, it is an investment question. Now, here again, one has to differentiate or to distinguish between, because here, many of the investment decisions are can be what we call direct investment. So a direct investment is one that wishes to open a business. Can I open a business? Can I joint venture with a partner? Those are also investment decisions. But the one that we have discussed so far, this today being part 3, our investment decisions are more trading in nature. So ours is more of stock trading, or at least Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or in any other form, perhaps let me have a better terminology for it, market. So we are trading in the market, whether we buy bonds, shares, gold, and so on. So it's a trading question. So one has to be very clear into what is the question at hand. And since we started the journey on an investment, on a trading question, then the useful gods will be the life door and the harm door. The life door and the harm door. The harm door is for indirect wealth. And then we have Wu Earth, which represents the capital. There was a question that was asked, why is it Wu Earth? If I'm a Keng Day Master or it doesn't matter. It is not about the Day Master of the asker. It's not even the day stamp that is on it. It is just the symbolism that it will always be Wu Earth for whoever that asks the question. So in the first part, when the question is asked, then we'll map out the location. So our sharing, of course, is to map out the location. So let's say somebody asks this question, And this chart is being plotted. As this chart is being plotted, come, let us once again run through our exercise. The day stamp is Yiwood. So the Yiwood resides here in Xunkua 4. And right now, what is the cycle? The cycle is a Yang cycle. So the cycle is a Yang cycle. Which are the internal plates? What are the internal plates for the Yang cycle? Anyone? What are the internal plates for the Yang cycle? The internal plates for the Yang cycle. Sorry? Yep. So who was that? And so is qua number 4 internal or external?
External.
External. So the qua is external. Right. Outcome, where is the outcome? The outcome is the Ting fire. Where is the Ting fire?
In the center.
Huh? No, here. The questions here.
Oh, here, okay.
Yeah. Turn 3, which is also external. Where is the live dog? Where do we find the live dog?
Lý qua South.
Lý Qua.
Live door.
South. Live dog is in the Lý Qua South, which is internal. Where is your indirect wealth? Injury dog.
Injury door. Okay. Northwest.
To northwest, which is also internal. Where is your capital? Capital is in
Tuy Qua.
Tuy Qua 7, which is internal. So in that case, both the live door and the capital are in internal plates. So what does this internal plates represents? Represents that the opportunities will be short term. The opportunities will be short term. That is the forward. So, all right. And so as we proceed on, so what do we proceed on to look at? We proceed on to remember the grading. So what do we covered 3 things in the last session. We look into the internal plates and the external plates. We look into now the quality or the grading of the door. Now, what is the element for live door?
Fire.
Fire. Fire? No, live door. Live door is not fire. Live door is
Earth.
Live door is. And live door, where is live door now? At Lý Qua. And Lý Qua is fire. Fire producing earth. Now, when you refer to that, is this prosperous? Is that grading for that live door? What is the strength for it? That is the most prosperous location for the live door to be in. Okay, so therefore the live door is prosperous. If the live door is prosperous. And while the harm door is in controlling, while harm door is wood, the injury door is wood, and wood here is in earth. Therefore, it will be the door controlling the palace. Therefore, it's controlling, it is limited. So now we have, so we are able to put into place the door, the grading of the door and the asker. Now, as we move along to cover what we have for today, we'll now move on to the stars. So last sharing was on the door. Now the sharing is on the stars. Now, without going too deep into the historical shaping of the stars are referred to the Big Dipper and the location of the 9 stars in the Big Dipper. That would be how the 9 stars came about. Now, for the glossary here, those of you who are familiar with Dr. Joey Yap's terminology, this will be the one he used: heavenly grass, grain, destructor, assistant, bird, heart pillar, ambassador. And to align with the app that we are using, the M-Achievement app, these will be the jargons. Sorry to say that the jargons are all completely different. So it may take some time for you to get familiar with whether you are used to this or used to that. Now, not all of us understand or read Chinese, but it would be great, it would be quite nice if you can soon recognize the Chinese character, because that is the only consistency in all the apps. If you ever used this app or that app or multiple softwares around, they might have different English names, but consistently always the same Chinese character. Okay, maybe not the same, because we still have simplified Chinese and we still have Taiwan or classical Chinese, so to speak. Okay, so here it is useful and quick to understand that of all the elements, again, they have their own natural palace. So what do the stars represent? Now, the stars are also referred to as heavens or heavenly plate. And to understand heavenly plate is to understand that it represents external force. It represents something that is outside. It represents macro. So in the world of investment, Bank Negara or central banks have just increased interest rates. Federal Reserve in the US, the same. The world is experiencing inflationary pressures from the supply disruptions due to the pandemic. The great resignations have resulted in labor shortages, labor mobility, and the Russian conflict with Ukraine resulted, of course, escalating oil prices. So as far as the achievement, these are all the heavens. The heavens represents events, circumstances. It represents things pertaining to economic conditions, market, social welfare, political climate, anything that affects the society on the broader side. So interpretation and reading about the heavens, about the stars, about all these things. Therefore, we try to make a meaning out of it and how it affects the asker as it comes along. And the stars is about timing. Okay. The doors is about the actions. The door is about the actions that the man will take, that the human will take. Therefore, the stars now in today's sharing is about the timing. Okay, so as you look into the timing of the stars, here again, we will look into the original palaces. So look into the original palaces to which how each of these stars resides in. Okay, so therefore, let me take into the original palaces, right to into the so what, because this will be where we will then also rely upon as well. And here I have a sharing of a chart, and this sharing of a chart, this chart is an example for one where all the heavens, all the stars falls exactly to where their original palaces are, all of them, and they work in a clockwise. So we do find that bandit, for example, or heavenly grass is here. So bandit is here, the doctor is here into the same chart. So this chart falls exactly to where the right position to the stars, And again, just like the dog, But one thing must be very clear. When we perform the grading on the strength of the dog, the strength of the door depends on the palaces. The strength of the door depends on the palaces. The strength of the star doesn't. The strength of the star does not belongs to the earthly palaces. Therefore, you don't read that heavenly grass is water and it's here in this. It's not about the palace. So the strength of the stars is determined by the time the reading is done, and the time the reading is done is based on the solar calendar. Solar. Okay. No, it's not full-in. There's no full-in here for it. So you have to refer to a bit different. All right. And here, the grading of the star now comes into the seasons. So the seasons here are not based on the plate again, not based on the earthly plate, but it's based on the solar calendar. In fact, right now, today as we speak, what is the month that we have today? What is the month? The month is so today's sharing is on the month of the snake. The month of the snake is summer, and so we're now beginning into the summer calendar. The calendar now says summer. So if it's summer, it would then mean that grass is weak, because grass is yang water. Grass is yang water. We look at the grass. So grass original palace is here, and here is water. So the element of heavenly grass or bandit is water. And so water in summer is where water controls fire. So when it comes into the palace in which it controls, it becomes weak. Therefore, Tian Peng is weak. Water was prosperous in spring. And therefore, just last month, it was prosperous in spring. Because it is the star that comes into a palace and produces it. It produces it. So water produces earth. So as a result, when the star comes to produce it, it becomes prosperous. Now, this is not the typical 5-element logic, because usually we would say that wood weakens water. But here, water produces wood, the water becomes prosperous. So therefore, that's the reading for the star. And water in autumn. And that's the thing again. Metal produces water. So therefore, autumn metal is the resource of water, but it's dead. So the palace that produces the star, it becomes dead. Comes to the palace, produces a star, it becomes dead. And in winter, which is then the same element, it becomes strong. So the same element, it becomes strong. And of course, earth months, for the case of water, is then where earth controls the water, it becomes trapped. Therefore, that's where we look into the grading, of it. But the grading has to do with the solar calendar. Today, as we speak, we are now in summer. So in summer, then this will apply. This will apply. When the grass is weak, then ambassador, grain, and bird will be dead. Destructor and assistants will be prosperous. Hero will be strong. Pillar and heart will be entrapped. And therefore here, it looks like the measure. Right, I have a question on the board. What is the order of the strength? Well, the order of the strength would then be, actually, one would be the strongest. Second would then be here. then actually it will be 3. Well, it's quite interesting to find out that whether it's dead or trap. I think the ranking is quite similar to the one. But then this would be because the palace controls, so actually it's quite just like that. It follows in that particular sequence. Okay, to range from whether the stars are prosperous, strong, to weak, dead, or trap. And sometimes the structure for trap is prison. So that's how there might be fanciful names as we go along. Okay, so as we go through the passage of time, at different occasions, there are certain things we can use, certain things we cannot. We cannot. All right, so the grading of the heavens comes in. Okay, so let's take this. So we're going to take this. So we are going to take this. We're going to take this now to perform the grading for our questions. You can see. And so let's take a look into the day master. The day master is in Xinhua, where is number 4. And what is the star? The star is destroyer. The star is destroyer. And therefore, we have the star, which is destroyer. For the hour, which is in your turn 3, star is both your Qin and Rui, which is problem and minister. In your life door, that will be your doctor, Tianxin. In your indirect wealth, that will be your bandit. And then, of course, in your Wu capital, that will be your diplomat. Okay, so therefore, this will be more of the reading that comes out. And so, in this particular reading, the destroyer, the destructor here is prosperous. Therefore, it is prosperous. So I can see that this is prosperous. The reading is prosperous. Now, for problem and for the problem and minister, or basically the grain and the bird, it is dead. It is dead. Therefore, this is dead. For the doctor, the doctor is in trap. The doctor is in trap. The bandit, it is weak. The bandit is water, and in summer, the grass is weak. And diplomat, if you cannot recall the names again, for those who are new, you do get a barrage of names and labels and becomes quite hard to move around. Your diplomat is essentially your ambassador. Sorry, destroyer is the pillar. Destroyer is the pillar. Okay, so you can find that the pillar is trap. The destroyer is a pillar that is in trap. Okay, the diplomat is your ambassador, and that is in date. All right, so this will be where we now measure the strength of the stars. Last week, we measured the strength of the door. So we do a grading on what are the residing parts. And now let's come into the interpretation. So as usual, we ask, once the asker has asked the question, the outcome is identified. Then, as usual, step number 1, we plot the locations. So we plot all the locations. Then we identify whether they're internal or external plates. Then we look into the residing door, And from the door, we perform grading on the door. Then now we look into the stars. And the stars, and now for the stars, as usual, we need to see where the stars reside. Now, to make it very quick, the deal breaker, number one, would be the grass, or in the M achievement, the bandit. So the bandit is on the origin, on Kan Kwa, which is Yang water element, is a star that reflects by right, by mostly negative, theft, looting, tyranny. Later in future, when we move away from investment to relationship, to business, to travel, it will be the same reading when Tian Peng is here, negative. Now, when Tian Peng is prosperous, there is a time where people can use the star, and that is during spring. There are occasions, there's a temporary moment in time where grass can be used, very powerful. But for those who are new to Chiman, or even if those are seasoned in Chiman, the using of this normally comes with a price. It comes with a price. There's a price to pay. There's a price to pay for this. So there are occasions to which we find Chiman practitioners suffering from accidents, where they cannot walk, they become sick. And therefore, this is somewhat certain things that you may not want to dabble with. How about that? So therefore, it comes, so the greatness can be achieved, but there's a price to pay. But here comes a part where whenever you find live dog, with the nobles, and then the great loss becomes a positive signal for good money-making potential. So this is where whenever you see grass, whenever you see bandit, if there's a live dog and there's one of the three nobles, it's actually a good sign. So here, as we look into the chart here, straight away, where is bandit? Actually, we have already drawn it. Where is bandit? Bandit is here. Now, when bandit is here, what is the door? Ham door. And the element stem is Keng. Therefore, the bandit remains negative, and it remains a huge loss. And the star grading today is weak. And so injury is indirect wealth, and indirect wealth has the sign of bandit. It means large financial loss. And so the reading for any question about trading short term, the answer is no. No. The day master is very likely to suffer from major financial loss if you trade on a short-term basis. So the answer is no. But then, of course, again, if you do see bandit if you do see Tian Peng or grass with live dog with the nobles, then the answer is yes. So that's the only condition. And one of the worst case scenario you could have is when it combines with a god that's called tortoise, and the door is inauspicious, then this would be probably one of the grading with the worst return you could have. Losing 90% of your money could be the possibility of this. So this is a worst case scenario, kind of a scenario. So in short, if you do not have the time to read too much in detail, if you see grass, if you see bandit, if you see Tian Peng, major financial loss, that will be the immediate reading. But of course, in the season of spring, And when you have life door combined with the three nobles, it can turn around and make it major financial gains. And if it's a major financial gains by luck, good. But to use it as a strategy, there's a price to pay. So therefore, that would be how one can use the stars to their advantage. All right. So therefore, that is camping for you. You see it, chances are say no. Say no to the investment. All right, let's move along to the second one, which is then grain. Grain or problem. Okay, the M. Chiman call it problem, which is clear enough for you to understand that it's not going to be a positive thingy. Usually for reading for health related, it is a style of disease and illness is generally negative. It's negative as the base element is yin earth, based in kun tu. Kun Kuatu. Normally, when the star approaches, it would actually advise the asker to just wait. So the reply is wait. Wait for more signs. Be patient. Be passive. Because the investor is likely to be at a crossroad, and what you can do is ask more questions, probe around. So wait, don't invest. Ask around, get more feedback, make more connections. But more often than not, this is also not going to be positive. So more positive than negative, even though it has some dualistic. So it is by and large inauspicious. But of course, there are many occasions where the grain can be used to result in positive outcome. It is more usable, but more often than not, the broad reading is no. It's negative. The next one is destructor. Heavenly destructor or impulse. Tian Chong. This one is yang wood element residing in Chen Tree Palace. It is generally neutral. And the reason why it's neutral is because this philosophy, the philosophy of the star is you need to be cruel to be kind. You need tough love. So Tian Chong is somewhat like the Asian parent who torture and pressure their children in order for them to be successful. And therefore, Tian Chong's philosophy is cruel. So coming from a macroeconomic reading, it would mean something where the government introduced policies that are not popular, but good for the population. Austerity drive. Certain policies, rules that are tough love. So therefore, that's why it's considered to be neutral. It's neutral because the treatment is harsh. The condition is brutal, but with a good intention. So Tian Chong overall is one that has a good intention, good expected outcome. But usually it is impulsive because its philosophy is about attack first mover advantage. Go. And so while we have the earlier one that says, wait. Don't go. Wait and see. This one is go. This one is, what are you waiting for? We do it now. So it's very much driven by emotions, short temper, sensational driven. So in the world of investment, this star normally means that the market is irrational, irrational exuberant. The sentiments are too strong. Therefore, investors are mostly drunk with emotions rather than in rational thinking. And in a way, if the star is located with the same palace of the life door, and life door is the profit, the direct profit, and it is inauspicious, the money will be lost. Therefore, this would be actually a warning for investment. Generally, when you get this sign, it would mean that if you want to go ahead, strike fast, in and out very quickly. If the decision is to buy, it has to be a very hard and fast strike. Don't wait too long. Go in now and get out now. Make a bit of money and then get out. But chances are, more often than not, it would be negative. So it is more negative than positive. But again, investors who are able to play can try to use this, but it is an emotional play. That's the heavenly destructor for you. Now, the next one here is the advisor. The advisor is fantastic. All seasons, any season, can use for any season, all time. Now, this is Shunqua 4, Yangwood, not Yin, Yangwood. Therefore, this star, heavenly assistant, is about academic, the scholar. Therefore, obtaining fame and success by academic studies. So if the investor have this star, the investor's interest in investment is more research driven, more curious than making money. Therefore, and the star is here, even though we mentioned the grading, do remember that when it comes to advisor, so even though the advisor or the assistant, it has its reading, but more often than not, the exception is all seasons. It is one of those, there's also another, but this is one of those that can be used all the time. So it is positive, it is good, it's auspicious all the time. And of course, when it is timely, when it is timely. So when is timely? When is it timely? It is timely, especially during spring and summer. During spring and summer, when it is timely, during that period, and when it receives one of the three noble, then this would be a good bestowing part. And it's also a good positive sign for investment decisions all the same. All right, so therefore, advisor is good. Stick to it. Okay, now as you come into the next one, which is the bird. Change. The bird is right in the center, so it always follows the grain. So it always follows the grain. So these two combines together. Funny as it may be, one is negative and one is positive. And so more often than not, wherever it applies, it will just be bunched together. Tian Qin Tian Rui will always be bunched together, and one positive, one negative. And sometimes, how do you read? How do you read when you have two stars in one palace? Then, of course, you look into the strength. Which one is the more dominant one? Which one is the more dominant one? So right now, we are in summer. So therefore, here, one, we have the grain, we have the bird. Both of them are actually quite weak. So therefore, they're actually quite weak into the sense. Therefore, as it becomes prosperous in autumn, then the advantage of the center chin will then be very good. So generally, that would be auspicious. And so here, maybe to play safe, we can then say that this is auspicious in autumn. In autumn. All right, so that would be part of the reading that we have here as well. Okay, next one we have is the Doctor, Tianxin, Yang metal by nature, one of the most auspicious stars you could find, best used in autumn and winter when it's health-related pursuits. And of course, what do we mean by use? How do you use the stars? You use the stars by seeking evidentiary phenomena. Okay, later in the sharing, we'll see what do you mean by, how do you use the start, so in a strategic decision. At the moment, we then read. But generally positive, generally positive. But when it enters into emptiness, be careful. Huh? So doctor cannot see emptiness. Doctor cannot see emptiness. And so when you have a chart like this, where is the doctor? Where is the doctor in this chart? Where do you find the doctor? Do you see emptiness? Do you see emptiness? Yes. And so be mindful of that. The life door is profit. The life door is profit. And the doctor is there, and doctor is a positive. But now we have a special reading. The doctor is in emptiness. So if the doctor is in emptiness, even though it is very sad to say that the life door is in Li Kwa. Of all the 9 palaces, Li Kwa is the best palace for the life door. The life door is the highest grading in terms of strength. Of all the 9 palaces, sometimes when you ask many questions and you finally get the life door in Li Kwa, it's like, yes, finally, there's one life door that is Li Kwa, because your profit is going to be the highest grade. But sadly, the doctor is in emptiness. The doctor is in emptiness indicates that the external forces will actually turn it to be negative, and it's 9 heaven, which means it's going to be quite long itself. Therefore, if you do enter, then it's going to be protracted into it. So therefore, when the doctor is in emptiness, the person will end up as a disgrace, scandals, lead a life regrettable. Therefore, the decision will be one that you regret. It will be quite embarrassing for you to actually pursue this. So this is what it means. All right. So take care for emptiness, for doctor. If not, then generally, the doctor is auspicious. So doctor is auspicious. All right. This is where the reading comes in. The pillar. So the pillar is the destroyer, the pillar of fire. The pillar is yin metal polarity, sitting in the home of Tuikwa, 7th. More often than not, it is the second most negative one. So if you see the destroyer, the answer is no. Loss of wealth. Loss of wealth. This is, the first one is bandit. Bandit is like the worst case for loss of money. Pillar is the second. Therefore, it's inauspicious. It's no good. And if it comes in, one is to take a defensive position. So the advice here is play defensively. Don't invest, play very defensively. You're in for a loss. Therefore, that would be how we look into the destroyer, which actually resides here for the time being, as it is, which is the destroyer is with the day master. So the day master is with the destroyer, which is the loss maker. So all in all, in this question, we have the bandit here, we have the destroyer here, as it is. Now, one thing for sure, if some of you begin to ask a question, hey David, how come all the chart you plot, you keep saying no. Well, I have to say that my day master is Ren. I'm a Ren water. And this year, what year is this year? And so personally, I will get a lot of negative because the next 2 years no good for me. So if I'm the one plotting all this chart, I think you're going to see a lot more negative coming your way. Okay, so maybe next week somebody asks a question. How about that? Then maybe I can plot your chart and then I can start to interpret. Otherwise, you see all my chart then, so I'm going to be losing money all the way. So anyway, Pakcik is more important. That is more for your life strategic part. As it is. Okay, so anyway, this is no good. So you see pillar, you see destroyer of pillar, you see bandit, mostly it's a deal breaker. Therefore, not good for the asker, not good for the profit, not good for short-term trading. This is not going to be a very good chart itself, yeah, as it is. All right, last but not least, no, this is not last, but let's take a look into the diplomat. Very auspicious, very auspicious. Earth polarity, all season. This is another one. So this is another one where it can be used for all seasons. So don't worry so much about the grading, even though it's useful. And very high chance of success. Growth, economic growth, strong connection. Therefore, the ambassador is another very, very strong, auspicious star. So if you get one, then that would be great for you as well. So the quality you have to be ascertained. All right, now next we have the hero, the fearless, the sun, polarity, fire. It's slightly inauspicious. The reason why it's inauspicious is because it is fiery. Being fiery, it tends to be impetus, impatient. And pink fire are big picture people. Now, the thing about big picture people is that they don't read the fine prints. They are not so detailed oriented. And the lack of all this detailed oriented makes it blockages for investments. So the reading for Tianjin is more often than not, it's a no. It's a no. More likely to suffer from financial loss, but not a very heavy one. So this is like slightly negative. It's not your grass, it's not your pillar. Those two are deal breaker. Straight away say no. But this one is, it's so hard to invest nowadays. So I think, okay, never mind. I'll still go ahead with it. I'll still go ahead with it. So if you want to go ahead with it, your problem is that you are not meticulous enough and you don't monitor enough to see the problem through. Okay, so therefore, a bit more cautious, a bit more careful, especially when dealing with complicated instruments. When if a banker asks you, do you want to invest or not in this auto-callable? This is an auto-callable structured product. This is one of those principal protected renewable fixed income. What are you talking about? Then perhaps the answer is no. If it is a simple product, if it is a product that you have been having many years of dealing, so maybe you can still say yes to this. So it's slightly negative. But the idea is that because it requires courage and you might still get it good. All right. So therefore, these are the 9 stars. So these are all the 9 stars. In general, which one do you say definitely? Definitely you say no to bandit. Definitely you say no to pillar. These two, no. It's a no. These two is a no. And more often than not, ambassador is a yes. Ambassador is a yes. Assistant is definitely a yes. These two are all season. Okay, and the rest will come with some mixture in the way that you read it. Okay, now so far we look into the stars overall. The stars overall. We look at the stars residing in the life door, the stars residing in the indirect door, the stars residing in the capital. But now we come on into the last part, the last layer for today, where the special thing is this one. If you yourself are the asker, then you might not see it through because of your own internal bias. This one is for you, the consultant, you, the reader of the chart. When you read for another asker, this is something for you to validate, something for you to check and see whether the asker will agree or not. If the asker agrees, if the asker confirms, if the asker admits, then this is something that you can then support in your reading, in your read. Okay? It also will work for you, but if you are the reader and you are the asker, then sometimes you may not agree, or you may not want to see this. So this part has to do with reading for the day master. So this material, so this material here is meant for not anywhere, not in the life door, not in the harm door, not anywhere, but in the day master. So this is where you look at the day master of the asker. And here in this chart, the day master is the destroyer. So the day master, which is the asker has the destroyer, then what does it mean? It means that the asker has a hidden motive. The asker has some hidden motive and intention. Which means that, what kind of hidden motive? Actually, very funny, because I'm the one who plotted the chart, but I plotted the chart not, what do you call it? I plotted the chart in order to share this with you today. So in a way, that's my hidden motive. So it's very irony how I plotted the chart and the chart says, hey, you are not really asking investment. So this hidden motive can be that the asker is testing the reader. Wow, you clever, you're testing me, is it? That means you don't trust me. So there's a lot of distrust. So this hidden motive can also be insider trading. It can also be market manipulation. It can be that the person, the asker is not really very serious about investing. But more often than not, the destroyer is where the person suffers from disposition effect. Disposition effect is interpreted to mean this person very quick to sell winners one. Every time make money, 10% sell. Every time make money, sell very fast. But loser never sell. Keep. So that is why disposition effect. These people will not make money. Because every time they make $1. Every time they lose $9. Well, hello, friend. If you can make $1 every time you trade and lose $9, even though you are 90% accurate, you break even. Therefore, disposition effect. Come on. So as a reader, if you get a client like this, then your advice is to tell them that you shouldn't be trading for yourself because you tend to be too quick to sell your winners and too slow to sell your losers. Therefore, you advise. So this is something along the time. If you get destroyer. So sometimes, April, you're right. Sometimes the universe knows my motive. I plot this chart to share, then the chart says, you yourself have got hidden motive. Kena nicely. Okay. All right. Okay. Therefore, that will be it. Okay. Therefore, we look for the day master. Now, if the day master is bandit. Now, if you get a day master that's bandit, these people want to double down. They want to double down. They tend to take contrarian position. They see share price coming down. They want to jump on it. They see share prices down. They want to jump on it. Let's say, for example, Grab. Now, Grab, which is Grab went for IPO in the new US market. So this Grab, if you look into Grab, Grab IPO started with $12, went up to as high as $16, and now dropped all the way to 2 something and settled in 320. Therefore, this is what happens to Grab. So to some people, they see this as a buying opportunity. And furthermore, Grab was in a group that just was given a digital banking license in the country. And therefore, this is Bandit. This is the day master in Tianpeng. The day master in Tianpeng. They saw, they like to take opposite position. That means they buy fallen angels. They like to buy fallen angels. They like to double down. Therefore, if they lose money, they double down. This is a gambler's bias. A gambler will double down to recover their money very fast. And they like to take contrarian strategy. And if you see Keng or Chi Earth, say no. Actually, by right, you should say no, no matter what is there. You should say no, whatever they do. But if they got Keng, they got Chi Earth, then it's very confirmed. Very. And so here they got the Bandit with the Keng. And therefore, this is injury. And so you can tell the asker, you can tell the asker, okay, dear asker, I understand why you want to ask this question. You want to buy Grab, isn't it? Or no, I mean, basically the asker will tell you, I know why you asked about buying Grab. I know why you asked about buying Grab, because you saw the price coming down from $16 all the way to $3. You see this as a buying opportunity. You want to take a contrarian view. It looks good for you in the long run. No, the answer is no. Because Bandit with Keng stamp, and this is your intention. I can read your intention, and the result is don't go for it. The loss, this share price will be expected to fall again. And that's how when you see Tianpeng with Bandit. Okay, impulse. If you see impulse, Tianzhong, therefore this is very impulsive, regret aversion. This guy is on the YOLO, you only live once. And therefore, impulse tends to be very emotional in trading, and therefore wants to jump in. So this is where the day master wants to buy because everybody is buying. Oh, everybody is in NFT. I also want to be in NFT. Everybody is in Bitcoin. I also want to be in Bitcoin. I want it. I want to jump. I want now. I want now. And therefore, this would be the day master, the asker is impulsive. All right. So as we look into this, graph. As we look into this graph, where is the asker? Where is the asker? Where is the asker? The asker is here, which is still destroyer. Therefore, we have, destroyer, we have asker. Sorry. I was thinking it was going to be the doctor. Now, doctor, good. If it is the doctor, doctor means whatever opinion the asker has is correct. Okay? Is correct. And therefore, if the asker says, I got this question. What's your question? My question is, even though interest rates are rising, I believe it's only short term. I think the interest rates will reverse and the inflation rate will taper off. Okay, so that's your view. You have analyzed. Good. Chances are you are correct. So the day master is correct in their observation. All right. The other one will also be good is the chint, which is logical approach adopted. That is also not bad. Not bad. If you get the diplomat. Now, diplomat is generally auspicious. But when the diplomat falls on the day master, it is auspicious, but the person is too conservative, too scared, too careful, being too cautious. And chances are it will miss the opportunity. And so, if the diplomat falls on the day master, then you, the reader, you, the advisor, will have to encourage the person to go for it. And you can say, yes, go for it. Provided terms and conditions apply, provided that everything else is good. Provided everything else is good. If everything else is mixed, slightly okay lah, quite positive, but got a bit of negative. It's always mostly a mixture. So it's always a mixture, but you got diplomat. Therefore, on the day master, in that case, go. Chances are the person will say, no lah, never mind, it's okay lah. Hey, if it's okay, then when you ask me for what? Nah, I just want to know, but no lah, I'm going. So therefore, it's a miss. So the diplomat needs to be pushed. The impulse needs to be slowed down. Impulse is don't go. Diplomat is go. The other one that shouldn't go is also fearless. So fearless is another one. So fearless is another one that is very attracted to the celebrity stocks, very much on rumors. So when you get, so if the day master saw fearless or hero, heavenly hero, then you, the reader, will have to say that, let me guess. The reason why you asked me this question is because you heard of something, right? Your friend told you something, right? So again, remember, as a reader, you want to validate. As a reader, you want to confirm. Therefore, when you ask the first question, then you interview the asker, you talk to the asker to confirm whether this is true. If it is correct, then you can see that the reading will be increasingly smoother and more accurate. So this part is sometimes the interview questions that the reader asks the asker. Check. Okay, now the reason why you asked me this question is because did you hear some news rumors about the stock? Is this where did you pick up from? Did you read somewhere and whatnot? Yeah, as it is. So these are what we can use this day master for. So we use this to validate. We use this to advise the day master, the asker, into going. Now the one last one here, before we close shop, is the advisor. Advisor is generally auspicious all season. And this person is meticulous, rational, follow fundamental, because advisor is scholar. Scholar, very scholastic. Will read a lot, analyze a lot, educated, understand the investment. But the thing about this advisor is they are more curious than greedy. They are more curious than greedy. More interested in getting themselves correct rather than the money-making part. But generally, it's positive. All right. So the same auspicious and inauspicious stars apply for day master, the same that it does apply for all others. It's just that this part is to understand how the day master experience. Okay. So this basically goes to the top. It goes to the top. So even though today's sharing is part 3, it actually should go back to the top when you talk about the asker. Okay? Because in our part 1 was just very fast. Who's the day master? Where is it? And then red or black, and then that's it. Then we go into the door, but now we come back. We come back to the asker. Because it's very primary important to know who the asker is, because that is more of preparing, advice, educating the asker into making the right decision. Because when you come to investment, the biggest enemy is yourself. And you don't make money when you buy. You make money when you sell. And those decisions can be wrong because of emotions, because of bias that cloud the judgment of the rational investor. And therefore, the stars affecting the day master is a crucial component another layer to look at. All right. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, there are layers upon layers upon layers. Achievement is like an onion. There's so many layers to peel in order to get a better picture about the scenario. So therefore, before your final advice, you should check. So these are the checklist questions. Interview them to get them to agree, to admit, to confirm. Then you know that you're on the right track. If it doesn't, then maybe you want to relook. Maybe you plotted the wrong chart. Maybe you forgot to press one or two buttons before the chart is plotted. Yeah, as it is. Okay, so that ends our today's sharing. So till again, the next sharing on part 4 will come into the gods and add on more layers for you. Okay, thank you everybody. So that's it for the day. Wish you good luck. All the best.